How's it going, everyone? We are back again for NFL Week 14 decision trees. This is an article Renee writes for us every week at dailyfantasycafe.com. So certainly, if you want to check out that after you watch this video, I would suggest doing so. How's it going, Renee?
Very good, Russ. How are you?
Good. As I was telling you before we hit broadcast, I'm a mature, strong, hearty man now. I eat yogurt. I'm a yogurt guy now. So that means I'm mature, I think,
It is all
based
uphill
on
from here.
the metrics I'm looking at.
Yeah.
Yogurt's usually a positive future indicator. Anyway, getting into this week's slate. So your first starting point is Jameis Winston, 6,700 on DK. What are you looking at with this? And I guess what is your general vibe at quarterback this week?
Yeah. So I don't actually know how much yogurt Jameis Winston eats, but the New Orleans Saints defense clearly doesn't eat enough. I think.
No, definitely not.
I think we can agree on that. So I'm looking at a really nice defensive matchup. Winston's been really pretty steady all along, but really at home has been good. Has a couple new weapons. Cameron Brate has emerged as he could be the tight end one right now. I don't actually have that number in front of me, but he's been really good. And of course he has Mike Evans, who is matchup proof. And I think is the highest priced receiver on FanDuel this week. So I like this combination, this Bucks passing game. I think Doug Martin will be a popular play this week, but I'm not quite sure he's ready to really bust out and have a huge game. At quarterback, I think I'm a little bit on an island that doesn't have balloons and chocolate candy hearts for Kirk Cousins on it. I'm not as high on him as most of the industry is. I'd much rather go with Winston or as I say, I think Breeze probably has a pretty nice bounce back game here. It's not like the Bucks are some super shutdown defense. I think there's a lot of ways you can go at quarterback.
Certainly. So specifically about that Buccaneers and Saints game, if you're playing Jameis, are you coming around with maybe a Brandon Cooks or a Willie Snead or something like that in a lineup like that? Or are you just kind of sticking to the Buccaneers?
Obviously, I don't think it's worth using Winston without Mike Evans or at least Brate. But if you do that, you are a little bit, you price out fast. So I'm not opposed to the Saints receivers. Yeah, I think Cooks is still going to get a ton of targets. I've never been a big Snead believer. Michael Thomas would probably be my option if I could afford it, if I was going with one Saints receiver.
Fair enough. I will say the Saints defense, instead of eating yogurt, they wake up, they're late for work. They snag those 4 packs of Oreos on the way out, and they come into work, they have Oreo dust all over their face. And they're just they're just a hot mess. So anyway, DeMarco Murray, interesting piece this week, 7,900 on FanDuel. Obviously, you have the looming giants of David Johnson and Le'Veon Bell. What are you looking at for DeMarco Murray?
Yeah, I use him more as a tournament option. I think, a lot of us have even forgotten that bye weeks were still happening last week, but the Titans were off, and players coming off a bye, and in particular a player like Murray who played really poorly against Chicago before the bye, is as cheap as he's been. I mean, he's as cheap as I remember him, but I think he bounces right back against the Broncos. They're really hard to throw on with a week of rest. I think this whole team is going to be, the whole Titans team is going to be healthy and kind of ready to come out and compete for their playoff spot. And the best chance they're going to have is on the ground with Murray or in the short passing game. He's been effective outlet for Mariota too this year. So.
Yeah, I'm with you there. And I think, at this stage in the season, we have enough of a sample to say, teams can run on the Broncos. And it's so bizarre because they're so good against the pass. You'd think they'd be able to put a little more emphasis on like stopping the run, but it just seems like, every game they just totally shut down the quarterback and running backs end up going for him. So I like that call. I think he's going to be a low owned tournament guy. And, if he's getting you 20 points, he's really, really cutting into that edge the David Johnson, Le'Veon Bell owners have on you. Your last starting point is a guy that I find super interesting, especially going into the offseason. I don't know what to think of Tyrell Williams, honestly. Clearly, he's been a dominant fantasy player, but I think I'm still undecided on him. Clearly, with Phillip Rivers and the rest of this year, I think he's in a pretty good position to succeed, though. So at 6,800 on FanDuel, what are your thoughts here?
Yeah, I think I'm a little bit with you, but this year with all the injuries and everything, he's clearly been the number one. And there are still, those Dontrell Inman games, and I don't hate Inman at all this week. I think I think there's probably going to be enough volume and success for the Chargers through the air that they're both valuable. Inman's like 5,500 on FanDuel, something like that. But the real reasoning here is that if you take Rivers and Williams, you can afford some of those higher priced David Johnsons, Mike Evans, Jimmy Graham, guys that I like, because Williams and Rivers are such middle of the road salaries. And I think they both have a lot of upside this week.
Fair enough. I guess the final thing I'll ask you, since you kind of talked about that middle tier to fit the big running backs in, are you looking at Andy Dalton this week, or are you kind of off of that?
Yeah, no, I'm not. And last year I was like a broken record Andy Dalton efficiency. Mike Clay and I argued every week about Andy Dalton, and I was right more often than not. So he hasn't quite been that yet. I'm still holding out hope for Tyler Boyd. I think it could be a three touchdowns for Eifert week. They're playing Cleveland. No one is worse against tight ends. So I think Dalton and Eifert make kind of a nice pairing this week.
Yeah, and I think they kind of work on DraftKings, together to kind of make a pretty, like, you can get both high-end running backs in and kind of throw Dalton in there and like maybe Boyd, like you mentioned, or Eifert, and you're like kind of okay, like, for salary.
Taylor Gabriel is still really cheap.
Tyler Lockett,
talked about him enough, right?
Yeah,
I like him. If actually, I haven't seen the news from Tampa Bay yet, but they have this receiver, Freddie Martino, whose minimum salary on both sites, who kind of came alive 2 weeks ago. He caught a touchdown from Winston. And last week, after Adam Humphries and Cecil Shorts left the game, he caught all 4 of the targets he got. So he's someone to keep on the radar. That is another way to get to the Mike Evans, David Johnson elite.
That's a good call because, Cecil Shorts went out with a pretty major injury, I'm fairly sure. And, beyond Brayton Evans, there's really nobody else. So I think he's an interesting guy. Is there anything else you want to throw out there before we head out for the week?
I don't think so. I think we covered all my kind of pocket guys that I like that I'm building around.
Are you preferring to pay up at running back or maybe go with Odell Beckham? What's your preference there?
Yeah, I prefer to pay up at running back. I think some combination of Johnson, Bell, Murray, McCoy is where I want to be.
Yeah, I'm with you. All right, well, thanks.
Rawls is kind of a reasonable mid-range guy, or Lamar Miller. I think Lamar Miller could be kind of a sneaky play this week. He's really cheap on DraftKings.
And I will continue to be chasing Tevin Coleman and his 4 points per week since returning to the bye. For those hopeful, I just want one more Tevin Coleman week, and then I'm satisfied. But I'm going to be chasing that again. As always, we're happy Renee's doing this article for us, so you can check it out there. If you like this video, give us a like and subscribe. And as always, good luck this week, and we will see you guys in week 15.
Happy week 14.